Welcome to the show, Over 50, So What? I'm Carol O'Halloran. On this show, we aim to have balanced content for men and women. And today, it's pretty obvious. We kick off with a chat to Mish Wright about menopause, so we all have a better understanding of this life stage. And at the end of the show, we're going to the Chelsea men's shed to get an insight into what happens in the hundreds of men's sheds across Australia. And for you regulars, of course, we've got the 5-minute fitness segment for everyone to join in. Get ready to move. Going through menopause can be a challenging time for a lot of women and also for their partners. Well, today we're having a chat to Mish Wright, who is a writer, speaker and educator specialising in women's health for over 15 years. Welcome to Over 50, So What?
It's great to be here, Carol.
Now, over 50 is like the magic number when it comes to menopause.
Well, kind of. The average age for women to go through menopause is 52. So let's be clear that menopause, when we go through it, means we've been one year free of a menstrual cycle or a period.
Most people just talk about, oh, she's going through the menopause or I'm going through the menopause, but there is another term that really technically applies to the time leading up to the menopause, which is perimenopause. Can you tell us about like the proper way to describe going through the change?
Right. Well, menopause, as I said, is like when you're 1 year free of your periods, and that's like a bookend to your reproductive time. But like going through puberty, it just doesn't happen overnight. Your hormones change, your body change. There can be also psychological changes as well, and these can creep up. And for some women, it can be as short as 4 years. For other women, it could be anywhere up to 10 years. So if we do the maths of being 52 when we go through menopause, these symptoms might actually start making an appearance in your early 40s or before.
And what do we call the word for leading up to menopause?
Perimenopause.
So perimenopause. So because you don't normally hear people talking about saying, oh, I'm going through perimenopause. You just say, I'm going through menopause.
Yes. So I think perimenopause is really coming into the people's language now as people are realizing and talking more about this really important life stage that affects over 50% of the population. If you have ovaries, then you will go through menopause.
So you can start going through perimenopause like early 40s, but the average is 52. So you still may be not even achieve menopause until your late 50s, is what you're saying.
That's right. And also, it's not like, oh, I'm 1 year free of my periods, all my menopausal symptoms disappear overnight. So the symptoms of menopause can last way longer than that 1 year free of a menstrual cycle.
So what's actually happening to our bodies at this time?
Well, the key driver to all the changes that happen and all the symptoms that people experience when they're going through perimenopause is mainly due to the drop in estrogen. So that's the hormone that really drives, well, it has a role to play in just about every function, everything from our brain function to keeping us, our skin feeling not dry and supple and having elasticity. So it also has effects on protective effects on the heart. Really interesting that for women, while they are in their reproductive years and estrogen is flowing, they have a lot less heart disease, but men generally are the people who die of heart attacks. But post-menopause, without that estrogen, women really very quickly go to meet their male counterparts in terms of heart health issues, and it is the #1 killer of women.
And also, doesn't estrogen have an effect on your bone density?
It does indeed. So we need to be storing, making our bones strong while we have lots of estrogen, so that when we hit that period where our estrogen rapidly declines, it just doesn't ebb away, it like jumps off a cliff. So that means that our bone strength and muscular strength will go down. So it's like getting as much in the bank as possible before you hit that time. So for women, strength training is really, really important in that 30s and 40s and 50s. But as you know, Carol, you can be strong at any age. So don't think, oh my goodness, I'm 50 and I haven't done any strength training, my bones are shot. So everyone has the ability to get stronger.
So the estrogen's dropping off and you stop having periods. Is there anything else major that's happening in the body?
Well, there are so many major things that are happening in the body, from mood swings. One of the symptoms that are less talked about, but often women in reflection talk about how they knew that they were in perimenopause, is they had increased anxiety and depression. So that has all to do with it. There are also, women can find sex painful because their natural lubricant can disappear. And it's not just, vaginal lubricant, but also their eyes might feel dry, their skin feels dry. So it has impacts over, your emotional, your psychological, as well as your physical health as well. And one of the big things that women often talk about is that they have weight gain. So where they just used to be able to eat a little less, maybe work out a little bit harder at the gym and knock off a couple of kilos pretty easily, that all changes during menopause. The things that you did in the past might not work for you now.
Well, one of the symptoms that I had when I was going through it was that I was craving sugar, and I felt like I would strangle someone if I didn't get a hit of sugar from somewhere.
Right.
And I remember Oprah Winfrey saying her big thing with her weight gain was she loved fried fatty foods, but when she went through menopause, she said all of a sudden she craved sweet things as well.
Yeah, well, the energy, looking for the energy, and the body is really, it knows that the estrogen is leaving, and so it wants to store as much of it as it can, and so it does, and it stores it in fat, and it puts it in a place where it's easily accessible, which happens to be around our middle. So if you are thinking, why is it that my shape is changing yet my diet isn't changing, my exercise regime isn't changing, then that is just part of the menopausal process.
Now, another thing I've noticed and people have spoken to when I went through it as well was sleep. It was so hard to sleep, always waking up at 3 in the morning.
Yeah. Sleep is the number one, if we're looking at ways in which we can help ourselves through this menopausal process, is prioritizing sleep. And this can be really tricky if you're getting hot flushes. And it's a bit of a, what do you call, a snowball effect of you don't have enough sleep, then your body craves that energy from carbohydrate or high sugar, and then the body takes that energy and it stores it around the middle. So like I said before, the things that worked before might not work the same way. Sleep is a number one way of making sure that you navigate that menopausal transition well, but it can be tricky.
Yes, it was tricky for me. Too tired, then craving the sweet things to give me energy, and then too tired to exercise, so my exercise, diminished from where it was before. So if you start having sort of more extreme or more severe symptoms, you think you're not coping too well, what do you suggest?
Definitely to find a doctor who specialises in menopause. And this is really interesting, is that your GP has no training in menopause. Even though it affects 50% and it is such a prevalent thing, your GP won't know unless they have done extra studies. So it is about finding a doctor who specialises in this, and getting them to help you, support you in, and a good menopause doctor will be looking at what hormones can do, but will also be looking at lifestyle changes as well. Menopause hormone therapy is not a magic bullet. It might really help, but it also works best with a whole lot of lifestyle changes as well.
Now, one final word of advice to partners or family members of women going through menopause.
Be kind. Be kind.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your time, Mish.
So great to be with you, Carol.
Thanks for watching our TV show. Be sure to hit subscribe and then you'll never miss an episode. Jump on Facebook, join our group, get in on the fun, fitness, wellness and inspiration. I'm Carol, over 50, so what?